get here. The tier, the cutoff for this tier is 8.5K. If any man could make that fall from the internet sky, it might be this man right here, Jason Scott. I introduced him. He was the opener for our show, a free range archivist at the Internet Archive, and a man of many, many, many other talents. I might just leave it at that and let him get onto it. I'm sure he's got a lot of special things prepared for us right now. Jason, take it away and just get us loose and sleepy in this last hour. Thank you.
All right. All right. Hey, everybody. It's Jason Scott, free range archivist, man about town, purveyor of love, ready to bring you into the night here in this wonderful long-term fundraiser for ROMchip Journal, a beautiful, beautiful place that we all want to be a part of. So listen to me. Right now, we're rocking along at $7,500 out of the goal of 8,500. But I'll be honest with you, we're going to want to have that be a little more. We want it to be actually at least 8,500. But the secret final goal is to break that 5-digit barrier, which we have never done. But we have been working hard to come up with ways to get you to donate money. If you're sitting there and it's late, and all of you are like, "What can I do? What can I do?" Well, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make this happen. A small technical thing I wanna say, though, is one of you on the backstage room is blasting my own voice back at me, and I am amazed that I'm able to keep any coherence listening to myself a second later. There you go. Whoever fixed that, you're truly the beautiful one. Alright, so listen, folks. You folks there, we got 44 people on the stream, and I'm willing to read whatever you want me to read. No holds barred unless it causes trouble for the owner of the Twitch stream. I'm happy to read whatever you like. I'm happy to set up a situation, and I'm gonna leave one here, which will be something else for you. If somebody, and I'm gonna have the backstage tell me if this happens. If somebody donates $1,000, one person donates $1,000, I will tell you an Internet Archive story that has never left its walls about an amazing project that just didn't come to fruition, but came really, really close. I guarantee you it's worth that money. It's quite something. So that's sitting there if you want that. Also, there'll be an auction for an 8x10 glossy of me. I'll be duding myself up just as you see now, and we're going to make my look really good, and we're going to make a wonderful looking 8x10 for you there. Another thing we're going to do is, like I said, encourage people to ask me questions in the chat. And if you've got questions, I have answers. To the best of my ability, I'll try to answer them. I'm going to take off this I'm going to take these headphones off. So whoever's backstage, you're going to have to yell for me to hear you. That's how it works. I want to be unfettered. I want to be free. I want to be free. Can't dance, can't make noise, can't wear the top hat. Maybe next year we'll raise some money for some earbuds for me. Give me that look. 1010, who's a user on my Twitch channel, came over on my suggestion. We were having a green room sesh over in my own Twitch channel, and 1010 doesn't know what ROMchip Journal is. Well, ROMchip Journal is an open access journal of game history that is unlike a good number of scholarly journals in terms of the fact that it is not being underfunded or overfunded or buy-funded as a loss leader for an institution. It is its own self-funded organization that does deep dives into game history and game history topics, and is designed so that it's not just elite academia, although there's nothing wrong with elite academia, but it's also meant to have a much more open, wider tent where people can come up with a variety of subjects and get them approved and have talks talk about it. The money that you have coming in right now, which currently still sits at 7521 out of 8500 and hopefully out of 10,000, is used for things like paying for the staff to do their work, to pay for the editor, to pay for the other work that's done to make these issues come out. The issues, when they come out, don't cost any money. They are free. So you can go back, you can actually see the rest of the issues that have come through ROMchip Journal over the years. And every year we just have a big February love fest. We try to convince everybody about what we're doing. We try to reintroduce them to what we're doing, and we encourage people to think about it. So if people have out there, and I can sense all of you out there, I can see there's 40 people out there who are listening, who possibly have some interesting things they want me to read, or perhaps they have questions they want me to answer. I'll answer them. I'll answer them straight up. Jason, archive.org is a wonderful service. Everyone, please donate monthly if you can. But if you were to start up a competitor to archive.org, how would you do it? This feels like a stealth question about the current controversy around archive.today. Now, archive.today was started by what appears to be a single individual who has been running it for a good number of years and is having a rough time right now because they took some punitive action against perceived critics, part of the situation when you are kind of lone wolfing it alone. It's just the nature of the beast. Now, I could tell you, I don't know how I would run my own web archiving service. I mean, certainly one could argue that's kind of what Archive Team is. Archiveteam.org, the activist archiving group that does all of the archiving of its own and provides some of it to the Internet Archive for the Wayback Machine. That group is kind of what I would do, which is loose, decentralized, involving a lot of personal and doubling checks so that if somebody goes off the ranch or is having a bad day, doesn't cause the whole organization to be strange. I retired, or I guess went emeritus from Archive Team bunch of years back just because I didn't want an organization that was dependent heavily on one personality. I mean, I'll speak about the aspects of this very much freely, like, you know, the Archive Team credo and the approaches and ethics and attitudes of it. But I don't do the day to day. They do the day to day. Actually, believe it or not, they actually bought their own wonderful little server that they're doing work on. It's pretty powerful. I'm very impressed by them. But I don't know how I would run anything to do other pieces of work. It would be tough. As of this morning, ROMchip has been accepted into the directory of open access journals. That means that they're part of a different establishment and that it just helps people find this work, which is very important. You know, discoverability is not going to be easy going forward. Thank you, Jason Dyer, for your donation, bringing us up to 7541.01 out of the 8,500 for the next tier. We at least got to try to get to the next tier, I think. If anybody has a way to convince other live channels to maybe raid this one and see what's going on, that would be kind of cool. How's my voice doing, by the way? How is it doing? Omega number, I have seen you wanted to do your best. So let me know about something you need me to read, because I'm happy to read. When I say things, I can tell it is absolutely going to a different time and place because it takes a while for me to see the stuff go by on the screen. And I'm also very happy that somebody could yell into the headphone and I could hear it. So that worked out. This will work out. I see nothing but success coming through. That's great. Let's see if we got any fun. How long is the reading limit? I'm sorry. Is it all about testing limits? Why doesn't Phil just pay for whatever and I'll stop when we get bored? Phil, get that $1,000 ready. I want to hear it from you. But if you pay for a reading material, I will read it and we'll go as far as we need to. And perhaps we'll have it that it gets interrupted if somebody else does it. But, when somebody offers you a service, the first thing you don't say to them is, "How can I use this service?" Like, how many free bars of soap can I get out of this hotel room? How many towels can I order from the lobby? I would like 100 towels and some ketamine. Going to find the worst. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'll see what you can find there. The challenge is laid down, but it better come with a little dosh, Phil. Just a little. I mean, we could always have that. Whoa. I think my Chrome crashed. Emotionally, I'm fine with that, but let me fix that up. All right, there we go. That was pretty funny. Thank you to Anonymous for your $40 donation to ROMchip. We're going to make this happen. I was literally trying just to get something to read. All right. Hey, so I'm located here, by the way, in Scan Crusher Mountain, which is my office that I have in an unknown location that enables me to digitize a wide variety of materials. And I have all sorts of toys, artifacts, and pieces here. And because I'm untethered from the headphones, I can actually run around and show them to you, tell stories of things. Part of the ROMchip Journal is telling stories and telling people about what are subjects they may not know about and to learn more about it. Oh, the ode to Luigi. I think that should just be Waluigi should be like the ending thing. I visited the Cooper Hewlett Museum and I bought a book. And the book I bought is called Made in America. And it's a series of photos of factories, manufacturing, and other material that is out there. And it highlights the American worker to show like people doing their work. It's a beautiful book. Cost me quite a bit, but it's a fetishistic overview of the American industrial world, including pinball companies, chemical companies, medical companies, presented in beautiful large photos. Whenever I can, I get one of these. I'm wondering, what's a guy got to do this late at night to get your attention? We've had a few donations, but I think we can do much better. Somewhere out there, there's somebody who thinks they need heat and food for the next month, but they don't. What they need is ROMchip Journal. They need somebody to write stories, to provide essays, to give education, knowledge a chance in the world of game history. I think we can do I think we can do better. I also noticed that nobody has fixed the ROMchip Journal discussion or description because right now it's still talking about Kendra. That could be what's causing people not to stop by. Have you ever thought about that? Intended for certain audiences may contain significant profanity or vulgarity. That's pretty good. There's nothing wrong with being a little hungry when you're hungry for knowledge. Over here, I see that I have this will never be viewable, I think. I think it's not gonna work at all, but I'm gonna show it to you anyway. Can you sort of see it? You can sort of see it. That's me at 8 years old using camera photography tricks to make a double of myself. So I'm doing the thing where you cover half the lens. This is very old. Here's another little story of an artifact. So there used to be a place called Storytown, and Storytown is a amusement park slash kind of mm, like park and in some minor way, historical reenactment joint that used to be in the upstate New York area when I was a kid. And there was a man who played the sheriff, and he would have all of us go after the bad guys every time we came there, and they'd have a whole show, and there'd be a full gunfight in the center of this western town section of it. And he would give you your tin star because he would deputize all the kids. I was given this in 1979, and I still have it right here on my desk. A lot of the stuff here on my desk is mementos and memories. I'm a person who likes to gather up material, keep it around, remember it. You know, it's about remembering things, right? For example, what did we get now? Bill, I see that. Okay. So before I do that, I just want to mention I have this iOmega zip drive button. I've got maximum protection. Oh, I'm so glad that Phil paid. Phil, I'm going to be reading this right now. As usual, I'm reading cold, so there's always a chance that I'm going to get words wrong, but I'll do my absolute best to do what I can. Oof. Phil, I'm going to read the first 2 pages of Cybermorph, and then you're going to tell me if I'm in need of doing more. How about that? I just don't know. I don't know. All right, all right, all right. Cybermorph. After braving the stormy skies of New York City, Kid Fan emerged with the first Atari Jaguar awarded to a game publication. After ripping open the FedEx box, we all gathered around the first 64-bit game system and plunked in Cybermorph. I got to play. 24 hours later, long after everyone else, except for my trusty Quadra operator, had left, I emerged, totally fulfilled, with the strange feeling that after playing video games for 9 years, I had just played the first real one. No longer am I tied down to going from point A to point B. I could go anywhere, anytime, and interact with crafts and characters all over each of 50 planets for as long as I wanted. After, well, is that written poorly? After rescuing my allotment of pods, I can survey the world, taking out remaining enemies, playing with different viewpoints, and examining structures. Each level is a different point of rescue mission, requiring a completely new strategy than the last. Some moons are totally hostile, while others require intense exploration and passive gameplay. I played for 3 hours to complete the first 8 moons, then surprisingly met a boss on the ninth. At that point, I'm used to 16-bit games, I figured that it was over. But I was wrong. 8 more appeared that required massive study to conquer. Then, after another 12 hours of engulfing gameplay, I reached the end once again, fought 2 huge gunships, and figured, for sure, that was it. Again, I was wrong. 8 more planets appeared that I am still, 2 days later, studying. Oh, wow, wow, they really I see what's going on here. This is terrible. Alright, well, there's a little bit more, but it's in a really weird format, so if this actually reads properly, we'll do it. It turns out that there are 50 planets, making this game one that doesn't even nick the hardware, the longest that I have ever played. All 3D, all rendering on the fly, filled with vivid, brilliant colors and detailed polygon enemies that seem aware of my presence. I am thrilled with this game. So now, for me, the face of gaming has totally changed. Now I must imagine games like this that make use of the JAG's full potential. Texture mapped, rendering on the fly RPGs are now possible. Games with huge worlds to explore are on the horizon. Action, shooting, role playing, adventure. The JAG will have it all. No putt putts, no bird's life, just solid, inventive 64-bit games from programmers with imagination. This game was made by ATD. Who's ATD? Whoever they are, they sure know how to make games. They got inside my head, and that's what it's all about. Will everyone who plays Cybermorph feel as I do? Probably not. There are those, I've already met some, who will turn it on, fly into a planet, think they're just playing another shooter, die for sure, and exclaim, "This is 64-bit?" To those boneheads, I must say, you have to look deeper than that. You bet your ass we're all alike. We've been spoon-fed baby food at school when we hungered for steak. The bits of meat that you did let slip through were pre-chewed and tasteless. We've been dominated by sadists or ignored by the apathetic. The few that had something to teach found us willing pupils, but those few are like drops of water in the desert. This is our world now, the world of the electron and the switch, the beauty of the baud. We make use of a service already existing without paying for what could be dirt cheap if it wasn't run by profiteering gluttons. And you call us criminals. We explore, and you call us we explore, and you call us criminals. We exist without skin color, without nationality, without religious bias, and you call us criminals. You build atomic bombs, you wage wars, you murder, you cheat and lie to us to try to make us believe it's for our own good, yet we're the criminals. Yes, I am a criminal. My crime is that of curiosity. My crime is that of judging people by what they say and think, not what they look like. My crime is that of outsmarting you, something that you will never forgive me for. I am a hacker, and this is my manifesto. You may stop this individual, but you can't stop us all. After all, we're all alike. 7701. We're getting closer to 8,500. Wow. You paid for the Peter Wells NYT review. I'm going to do a different voice because doing the low, sexy voice is having trouble on my throat. Guy Fee. Wow. When I do my podcast, by the way, I do a lot of coughing as I prepare my voice. Guy Fieri, have you eaten at your new restaurant in Times Square? Have you pulled up one of the 500 seats at Guy's American Kitchen and Bar and ordered a meal? Did you eat the food? Did it live up to your expectations? Did panic grip your soul as you stared into the whirling hypno wheel of the menu where adjectives and nouns spin in a crazy vortex? When you saw the burger described as Guy's Pat LaFrida custom blend, all natural, Creekstone Farm Angus beef patty, LTOP, lettuce, tomato, onion, and pickle, SMC, super melty cheese, and a slathering of donkey sauce on garlic buttered brioche, did your mind touch the void for a minute? Did you notice that the menu was an unreliable predictor of what actually came to the table? Were the bourbon buttered crunch chips missing from your almond joy cocktail too? Was your deep fried boulder of ice cream the size of a standard scoop? What exactly about a small salad with 4 or 5 miniature croutons makes Guy's famous Big Bite Caesar A, big, B, famous, or Guy's in any meaningful sense? Were you struck by how far from very awesome the awesome pretzel chicken tenders are? If you hadn't come up with the recipe yourself, would you ever guess that the shiny tissue of breading that exudes grease onto the plate contains either pretzels or smoked almonds? Did you discern any buttermilk or brine in the white meat, or did you think it tasted like chewy air? Why is one of the few things on your menu that can be eaten without fear or regret a lunch only sandwich of chopped soy glazed pork with coleslaw and cucumbers called a roasted pork bombin when it resembles that item about as much as you resemble Emily Dickinson? When you have a second, Mr. Fieri, would you see what happened to the black bean and roasted squash soup that we ordered? Hey, did you try that blue drink, the one that glows like nuclear waste? The watermelon margarita? Any idea why it tastes like some combination of radiator fluid and formaldehyde? At your 5 Johnny Garlic's restaurants in California, if servers arrive with main courses and find that the appetizers haven't been cleared yet, do they try to find space for the new plates next to the dirty ones? Or does that just happen in Times Square, where people are used to crowding? If a customer shows up with a reservation at one of your 2 Tex Wasabi's outlets and the rest of the party has already been seated, does the host say, "Why don't you have a look around and see if you can find them," and point in the general direction of about 200 seats? What's going on at this new restaurant of yours, really? Has anyone ever told you that your high wattage passion for no collar American food makes your television's cancer answer to Calvin Trillin if Mr. Trillin bleached his hair, drove a Camaro, and drank boozy creamsicles? When you cruise around the country for your show, diners, drive-ins, and dives, rasping out slangy odes to the unfancy places where Americans like to get down and greasy, do you really mean it? Or is it all an act? Is that why the kind of cooking you celebrate on television is treated with so little respect at Guy's American Kitchen and Bar? How did, for example, Rhode Island's supremely unhealthy and awesomely good fried calamari dressed with garlic butter and pickled hot peppers end up in your restaurant as a plate of pale, unsalted squid rings next to a dish of sweet mayonnaise with a distant rumor of spice? How did Louisiana's blackened Cajun spiced treatment turn into the ghostly nubs of unblackened, unspiced white meat in your Cajun chicken Alfredo? How did nachos, one of the hardest dishes in the American canon to mess up, turn out so deeply unlovable? Why augment tortilla chips with fried lasagna noodles that taste like nothing except oil? Why not bury those chips under a properly hot and filling layer of melted cheese and jalapenos instead of dribbling them with thin needles of pepperoni and cold gray clots of ground turkey? By the way, would you let our server know when we asked for chai, he brought us a cup of hot water? When you hung that sign by the entrance that says, "Welcome to Flavor Town," were you just messing with our heads? Does it make everything sound like Guy's American Bar and Kitchen is inedible? I didn't say that, did I? Tell me though, why does your kitchen sabotage even its most appealing main courses with ruinous sides and sauces? Why stifle a pretty good bison meatloaf in a sugary brown glaze with no undertow of acid and spice? Why send a serviceable herb stuffed rotisserie chicken to the table in the company of your insipid rice-a-roni variant? Why undermine a big fist of slow roasted pork shank, which might fly in many downtown restaurants if the General Tso's style sauce were a notch less sweet, with randomly shaped scraps of carrot that combine a tough, nearly raw crunch with the deadened, overlooked taste of school cafeteria vegetables. Is this how you roll in Flavortown? Somewhere within the yawning three-level interior of Guy's American Kitchen and Bar, is there a long refrigerated tunnel that servers have to pass through to make sure that the French fries, already limp and oil-sogged, are also served cold? What accounts for the vast difference between the donkey sauce recipe you've published and the donkey sauce in your restaurant? Why has the hearty, rustic appeal of roasted garlic mayonnaise been replaced with something that tastes like Miracle Whip with minced raw garlic? And when we hear the words donkey sauce, which part of this donkey were we supposed to be reminded of and think about? Is the entire restaurant a very expensive piece of conceptual art? Is it the shapeless, structureless baked Alaska that droops and slumps and collapses while you eat it or don't eat it supposed to be a representation in sugar and eggs of the experience of going insane? Why did the toasted marshmallow taste like fish? Did you finish that blue drink? Oh, and we never got our Vegas fries. Would you mind telling the kitchen that we don't need them? Thanks. Not bad, not bad. I never understand where my voice goes these days. I have to figure out, like, is it the cold? Do I have to have a special drink I drink just before I talk in this bombastic manner? But I'd like to see right now us get to 8,500. I was really going for 10,000. At $10,000, we get to hit Lane with a pie. I don't think that's something that should be passed up this year. Somebody out there is sitting on some money, and there is $1,000 donation waiting for me to tell a story. This offer is only for tonight. I will not tell this story otherwise. It's not going to happen. So I would love to have somebody move on it. We're at 37 people right now. Maybe we've had some people come in. We've had some people go out. How much time do we have? Well, it's 10:30 and the thing officially ends at 11:30 p.m. We might go over a few minutes, of course, things happen, but I would say that you've got 30 minutes and we have 30 minutes to hit that second tier goal. We're going to do ROMchip. It's going to happen. Don't worry about that. That's going to happen. But I'm ending this at 11. So if you want to get in during my time of love, this is the time to do it. I would love to have somebody who's sitting there, one of the 40 people who are on, give money. We have donation information in the chat. We have the ability of people to donate. We take a variety of ways to donate. So it's all there waiting for you. Oh, no. Oh, no, Lane. Lane, I understand. Lane wants to hit that number, but I want it at $1,000. That's how much this story is. It's the story of a castle. The story of a castle. That castle story stands at $1,000. If you want me to come up with a story that's worth, let's say, $500, perhaps $800, I can do that. I can think about it for a moment. I can come up with something. But no, the castle story stays at $1,000. You got to stay firm. You got to stick to your principles, Lane. There's nothing you can do about that. You got to stick to your principles. Now there is one possibility that may work here, and I will work for that, Lane. If a couple people announce, I'm going to submit this money, then we'll hit that. What do you mean it happened? Did somebody really give us $1,000? Is that what I'm hearing? Remember, I have to go by the counter. I can't actually see anything that you folks see in the back area, the back rooms. Oh, good. Excellent. Now remember the others, you too can throw in. There we go. One day, I was looking at some real estate listings in the New York area, And there was a news story, and it was a news story about something called the Yonkers Castle, and it was a castle that had been owned by a family for a good number of years, and it was going on sale, but it was going on sale for a disturbingly low number, $1.3 million. I know that sounds like a lot, but in the region that it was in, you're talking usually $1 million gets you a house, not a 10-bedroom castle built on the cliff face overlooking Yonkers, the Yonkers Castle. And so what we ended up doing was we ended up having this dream of maybe we could buy the castle. We could buy this castle, and it looked beautiful from the outside, and I took a trip down there and did a real estate tour, and this castle was built in 1885. It had gone through a number of owners. I researched the whole story of the castle, which I'll tell you. I'll tell you that whole story because 'cause you've earned it, because 'cause we're already at the, 8700 Remember, we wanna go even further up to 10,000. Anyway, so this castle had beautiful, beautiful rooms, but it also had a weird feeling of jank as well, things that had been added over time. But it was a beautiful place. And my dream was that we would turn it into the Internet Archive East headquarters, where north of New York City, we could host people, host events. We could have beautiful views. We could have a bunch of little offices doing scanning and integration of data. It was going to be, honestly, this really amazing thing. The idea of having, again, this beautiful castle. Now, I met the owners. The owners had had it for many years. It had previously been built in 1885 or thereabouts to be a demonstration for a brand new housing development. And here's how this was going to work. At one time, the train in Yonkers, which now goes across next to the coast of the Hudson River, actually was more inland at one point. And what they had done was this group had built a funicular railroad, a diagonal car that would go up and down the side of this mountain. It was in fact an exclusive train that would take you down to the station for Yonkers. And the idea was that you could go up this mountain, more likely a hill, cliff face, and up there would be a development of all these big, beautiful houses, right? All these wonderful places. And they built a demonstration house, and it was like something out of fairyland. It had all of these weird windows and turrets and, a wraparound porch, and it looked like something that came out of somebody's feverish dream nightmare. Now, the development did fine, and they did build some houses there, but the problem was, what are you gonna do with this weirdo demonstration house? Well, one of the developers bought it, and it became his home, his home, and so he lived in it for a number of years. After that, a small education group lived in it. A few other groups lived in it, and eventually, it ended up in the ownership of a man who was the king of anesthesia. He wrote a book on anesthesia. He was considered to be the expert of the United States in anesthesia. When I found this out, by the way, I acquired his book and had it scanned at the Internet Archive, where I presented the original book to the owners, along with a book on libraries to show how serious we were. So we ended up having um, a number of visits, a number of places, and I want everyone to understand this. Um, we we put down the money for it. Like we had basically bought the castle. Now, here we have to get into a little part of New York law, which was part of the reason why we put that money down. Um, you don't have to really go through with the process if something comes up until the day of the signing of the lease, as opposed to some states where when you put down a bid or you put down the money, you're on the hook for 20% or 10% or whatever. You have to pay that. Not so with New York. So we were quite happy, right? And so, you were able to, uh, buy it, but then could wait. So we bought it, and we started having it inspected, and so for a short time, we had a castle in New York, up on a hill, and I was doing tours of it and looking through it, and that's when we brought in the inspectors, and we had a good variety of inspectors. And a lot of things started coming out. A lot of trouble with this building. Now, here's the gambit. The gambit, of course, is, well, I mean, it's so cheap, right? Normally, something that would have 25 rooms would be very expensive, but having it for 1.3 million, you could afford to have it renovated. And after the inspectors weighed in, you'd be able to figure out how much that would be. So even though you pay 1.3 million, well, maybe we'll get something like, another million of renovation and we'll be fine. Problem with renovation is it's always a gamble. You might discover more on the way. Now, unfortunately, when the inspectors ran it through, and we got really good inspectors, we had a mold inspector, we had a housing inspector, we had a number of other inspectors. One of them said a great thing to me. He said, "This is a house that represents a 100-year epic story of deferred maintenance, that it had so many little bodges and hacks to make it work. Most notably, the second floor had caved in at some point, it had caved down, and they had built a new second floor over it and then recut all of the doors on the second floor so they could work that way. They had slowly replaced some of the roof to, have it that from one angle, it looked pretty good, but then they had not replaced any of the shingles on the other side, and I was listening to this at one point while we were going through the report, and I said, "No, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute, because this thing was built in 1881, 1885. Are you telling me that in 1881, somebody in overalls was working on the roof of this weird castle? They used a hammer, they drove a shingle into the roof, and then America invented air flight, and then we created airlines that became transnational and then transcontinental, and then we had fighter jets, and then we had the Concorde, and then we didn't have the Concorde, and we still had the same shingles on top of this roof. It was, um, it was unbelievable to me. So much love had gone into this castle over the years, but it was like a weird creaky ship. And as we started to talk about this, Brewster Kale and I talked about this property, we started to say to ourselves, you know, the idea is fantastic. There should be an Internet Archive New York, an Internet Archive East Coast, something related to the large city of New York. It's a great idea. It's like a good theater to put a play on, but is this the theater that's gonna put on the play? So, you know, the castle still stands, and we ended up not buying the castle. We ended up having to walk away, and it was really, I wrote such letters, we wrote such letters to each other. Something about I'll say that, man, the owner, the primary owner, and I, we really vibed on an emotional level. I mean, I really felt like I was taking over somebody's tour of duty to a unique and beautiful ship that sailed and stood over into the clouds. Um, but I had to turn it away, and I mean, I felt his heart was really broken by that. But there is a good news. A another couple, 2 editors who had been part of a magazine and book, group had retired, and they made the bid, and they bought it. And I sent them all of my information, and I sent them all the things, and for them, it was a exciting project. Here's an interesting answer to a question that I asked at one point. The inspector and I were, of course, talking about, how stable is this house? And I said, um, let's say I want to have a celebration. We buy the house, we buy the castle, and we want to have a party. How many people can I invite to the party before you professionally feel uncomfortable about having people there, and they said 20 in the building. And one of the person said one of the other inspectors said, "And don't go on the back, deck with any of that." And I'm like, "So if I have a string quartet, I and my 15 closest friends are about all that can come here." And so that was a really crazy, crazy thing. Um, we are so close to 10,000. We are so incredibly close to 10,000. This building, this castle, had so many weird, bodged, uh, bizarre, features to it. Like, when you went in, the second half of the castle could only be reached by going up this one staircase, going sideways, and going back up again. And when you got to a certain point, you could go to the various moving away hallways into these smaller and smaller bedrooms. There was a full chapel. No no joke. There was a chapel in one room that was a fully functioning, full on, child of our Lord God chapel with inlaid wood and crosses and everything. No idea. No idea. And then you would go up these stairs and you would end up in a turret, a very large, turret of the castle, and that had 3 rooms. So you go in there and there's 3 rooms, and you end up with a, um, exercise room, and then a bedroom, and then an observatory, and then there is a, ladder, more like a staircase ladder, going out to a widow's walk, but somebody, thinking better of this, had welded it shut. So you couldn't actually go out there, easily to get out there, which is a shame. Uh, so we had a variety of things we learned there. I mean, it was an amazing building. It was really something. It had so much storage. It could have been the center of so many different things. It had, not as much parking as we would have liked. And I was beginning the process of finding out, what are we going to do about parking? How do we not make the neighborhood angry? I literally went to town meetings just to sit in the back to learn who the different figures were. Rumors started to abound about who was this group, what were they going to do. Um, and for a moment, though, for a brief, shining moment, I would have been the keeper of the Internet Archive castle. The link is in the chat. It is the Yonkers Castle. It is also called, it's got different names, the Overcliff Castle, because it was part of the Overcliff estate that was going to be up there, the Overcliff Castle. You can find news stories on it. You can find pictures of it. I took pictures. Um, you know, I was really looking excited for it. It was going to be great. Um, Another interesting thing that I learned was that they built a hotel uh, further into this development property, and there was a tunnel. You'd go down an elevator, and you would end up on a special streetcar, and it would go under the earth to that same railroad. So not only did you have the funicular railroad, but you actually could take an elevator to a special car and then be taken out to the train station and then go into the city. It was perfect. Only problem was they had made a design flaw in terms of how they did the heating system, and the hotel burned down 3 weeks before it was supposed to open, so that tunnel was, never used. The funicular railroad is still there. There are still scars of it. The 2 buildings, the lower building and the lower building became apartments, and the upper building is now a daycare center and has this, really wonderful mushroom roof that was part of the funicular railroad. We're still at 9,001. We are 1,000 short of hitting, lane in the pie. Anyway, that is the story. of the Internet Archive Castle, which I never revealed to the public because I was always waiting for a good moment to do it. Once you know to look for it, there are photos out there. There are some really wonderful stories about the castle. The real estate video made by the real estate agent to walk you through the castle is really something. I just love, I just love how it looks. In fact, for this group, let me see if I can make it happen. Here we go. So I am dropping into the group the Flickr album of what I took of the castle. So I took all sorts of photos of the castle, and you can see both how incredible it looks, but also how much work needed to be done. When you see a part that looks like a weird crunched up basement, they actually built an entire apartment in the basement. So this thing went on and on and on and on, and it was really something. When it was beautiful, it was beautiful. You can see part of the chapel in there. Let me see what else you can see. Yeah, you can see some of the turret. You can see some of the photos, but you can also see where there are some really problematic heating and vents. Oh, so uh, we actually have hit a problem um, where we are past the pi horizon. We have the idea was to send somebody out. Although I don't know, somebody was to drop it past 10,000, maybe we'd sit around and wait. Maybe, maybe. Oh well, Lane. The pi doesn't have to be live on stream either. We can do a full, full everything. All right, so that's the pie story. The pie story. That's the castle story. That's the pie story. I just wanted you folks to know about it. It was probably one of the weirdest projects I ever got involved in. Drive a pie up. Lane, I'm gonna listen on my headphones. Did you have anything else you wanted to say as I'm getting towards the end of my little jaunt here? I would love
the end of my little jaunt here.
No, I think is it time for the ode to Waluigi?
The end of my little.
Oh, geez. Oh, I'm no. I think is
on.
it time for the ode to Waluigi?
You see what you did
Is
to
it?
us.
Hold on. I was not prepared. Hold on. Nothing's working correctly. Okay.
I'm excited by watching.
I was wondering if it was time for the ode to Waluigi, and then we will smash the piñata, and then we will do our thanks.
Okay.
And then we will sign off to everyone. I think that is the order of operations that should happen.
Okay.
Does that sound good?
Okay. I seriously don't want to settle for 9,000. So as I read out the Ode to Waluigi by Sam Daly, my goal is to not make a single mistake. And as I make not a single mistake, please, this is the time to throw in your money.
All right. I mean, listen, if somebody wants to donate $1,000,
I don't think anyone's going to
get a pie, and it just might take us 15 more minutes. Okay.
If we got to do that, I mean, there you go, folks. Look, we'll go into overtime for you for the pie. Yeah. Now I'm going to go read the Ode to Waluigi, and I'm going to try with all of my heart not to make a single mistake. Please forgive me if I make a single mistake, but I will read the Ode to Waluigi by Sam Daly. And while I'm doing that, let's see those numbers go up. I want to see something truly amazing. Dave has now indicated Dave's body is ready for pie, and is ready to go acquire pie. If you want to see Lane get hit by a pie, the Pie Runner, which was, by the way, the very unsuccessful third movie in the Blade Runner series, is ready. All right, let's do this. Let's get that Ode to Waluigi. All right. So, understanding the story of the Ode to Waluigi, there was something called the Starbert Gazette, and in the Starbert Gazette there was a story told, and of course the Internet Archive has a copy, a snapshot of the Starbert. So we're in good place there, right? We wouldn't be able to see this. I mean, somebody put it where other people could get it, but it was student poet wins national award. A poem about a dastardly Nintendo villain has helped a local writer win a national writing contest. Sam Daly, a grade 4 student at Leo Nickerson Elementary, was named one of the 9 winners Wednesday of the 2012 Book Week Writing Award. The contest, run by the Canadian Children's Book Centre, challenged grades 4 through 12 students to put forth their best poems and stories on any subject they chose. It was meant to get students interested in reading and writing. A lot of kids love to write, but don't realize they could make a career out of it, she said, or don't think they can make their own books. Adults want to hear their stories as well. A panel of Canadian children's authors judged the entries from about 2,000 Canadian students who entered. Daly's entry, an oddly Shakespearean ode to the video game character Waluigi, beat out hundreds of others to place first in the grade 4 category. Daly, 9, said he was shocked when he heard the news. I don't think I'm the best at writing, he said. I really thought it would be someone else. Daly will receive a $250 gift certificate to the bookstore of his choice for his efforts. He wasn't sure how he would use it, but said he might get an e-reader with the cash. So he got $250, and if you're putting $250, we're only going to need 4 of you to get us over that 10,000 pie mark. Now, Ode to Waluigi by Sam. Ode to Waluigi by Sam Daly. O purple-mustached, clever Waluigi, thou art such a genius when it comes to be thy time to attack Mario and Luigi. How thou attach springs to thy shoes, know I not. Why dost thou not have thy own video fame? Art thou enraged that thou dost not have one? Why dost thou fight the Mario Brothers? Thou art negative and wicked when shooting fireballs at thy green plumber, thy foe. Why art thou always cranky? Are thy purple knickers in a knot? Perchance Alvin Earthworm annoyed thou with his YouTube video? Why art thou so tall and slim? Perchance a power flower fell in your mouth when thou wast a baby. Why dost thou wear a purple suit? I like thy violet outfit for its unique hue. Shouldst thy brother Wario and thou fight so repeatedly? Is Bowser the dragon turtle your fiendish companion? I dost wonder what it would be like to be friends with Bowser and thou. Dost thou own the vicious Petey piranha flower? Dost thou like the kind Princess Peach? If thou couldst own a Yoshi, would thou? Thou art so sly and crafty, our slippery Waluigi. Dost thou fight Gino the Explorer dangerously? Why art thou not in Super Smash Bros. Ball? Where perchance thou art sad for being excluded from that rough game? Why art thou so nimble when thou escape the police? Thy symbol is an upside-down L. Oh, thou art sneaky, secretive, and tricky, mine own Waluigi. No, I'm here.